In the video of today, we will summarize the book, The 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People, by Covey. Habit number 1. Be proactive. I have a coworker who every day, when he comes to the office, he complains that technology prices are lower every day and that the top managers of these companies are criminals because they have to lay off many people to keep costs down, affecting thousands of families who live off this industry. When you are complaining about the prices, you are complaining about the devaluation of the currency, the trade war with China, in short, many external factors. Unless you are the CEO of one of these companies or the chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve, you have very little influence in making decisions that affect so many people. I recognize that his complaints may be valid and have merit, but he will never be able to change anything, as these decisions are outside his circle of influence. The people who behave like this are defined as reactive. On the other hand, there are other types of people who are rarely affected by these economic cycles or external factors, because they try to update themselves and acquire more skills and knowledge to be more valuable in the organizations where they work. They try to save and invest in order to have multiple sources of income and have enough money to survive in case they are laid off. These types of people who control their environment and their circle of influence are known as proactive. But what is the reaction of most people when they realize that to do this requires studying, reading, to dedicate time and be disciplined? They say that that is a lot of work. Which is why most people will prefer to complain instead of acting, since it is the easiest solution to their problems. It doesn't require any effort at all. The problem is that it doesn't really solve their problems either. Habit number 2. Begin with the end in mind. Now, visualize yourself arriving to a funeral. But this funeral is different from any you have attended before. You stand in front of the casket and you realize that the person in the casket is yourself. What do you have to say about yourself? What are your friends, family, and coworkers saying about you? This visualization exercise is very important and is the ideal time to stop and ask yourself, am I doing the things I need to do right now so that the day I die I can say that I did everything I wanted to do and accomplished all the goals I have set for myself? Will I be pleased about what the people who know me have to say about me? Steve Jobs, one of the founders of Apple, once said at a speech that he had as a ritual every morning to ask himself, if today was the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? If the answer was no for too many days in a row, it is an indication that you need to change something. Habit number 3. Put first things first. If someone comes to you and asks you what your priorities are in life, most people would say their family, spending time with their children, self-improvement, etc. No one would ever say that their life's priority is working 60 hours a week and watching TV for hours at night. But how many of us do the opposite? Like working 60 hours a week and Netflix for hours, instead of doing the things that we consider important. Like raising your children by spending quality time with your husband or wife and cultivating yourself by reading a good book and exercising to keep yourself fit and healthy. Industrialized countries like Sweden, which is one of the most productive countries in the world per hour of work, have identified that the priorities of a productive and happy human beings is not necessarily to work more hours. That is why they have developed laws that balance the time their citizens spend at work and in their personal lives. But we don't necessarily have to live in a country like Sweden to benefit from a balanced life. It is our duty to identify and separate the things that are urgent from the things that are important, and dedicate more time to this last ones. Habit number 4. Think win-win. It is said that a fisherman can fill a bucket with crabs and leave them unattended without having to worry about them getting out. A crab may try to climb to the top of the bucket, but when one gets to the edge to climb out, the other jumps in and hangs onto its body, so it can use it as a support to climb out. But they both end up falling in. And this is repeated over and over again, without being able to get out. And the reason is that these crabs are trying to win in a win-lose scheme. Using the win-lose scheme means that in order for someone to win, someone else has to lose. On the other hand, if they use the win-win technique, they would organize each other to make a ladder with their own body. And once one of them gets out, could help the others to get out too. But for this to happen, the crabs must have a mindset of abundance, which is a paradigm that must be acquired. To think that if you help someone to be successful, You will also benefit from their success, just like the crab that got out of the bucket first and helped the others to get out. We must stop thinking that in order for us to win, someone else has to lose. If this behavior persists, you will be like the crabs that never get out of the bucket. Habit number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Suppose I'm an electric car that I invest years and millions of dollars in research, development and production to bring to market. Once it comes to market, I can't go to my consumers and sell them my car and say, "Please buy my vehicle." I have invested millions of dollars in it and also many years to bring it to market. Obviously, consumers don't care to know what I've gone through to produce my electric car. What they want is for me to understand their needs. What are the ideal features of the car? What kind of applications and autonomy would they like the car to have? And is it a good price? Among many other details. When we are trying to understand and listen to a person, we cannot assume and come to conclusions based on our personal point of view and experiences. Doing this would be like making a car with what I think my consumers like, without having asked them what their preferences are. We have to listen emphatically and understand others without prejudice in order to understand the problems they are going through. Listening and understanding people is like listening and understanding my vehicle consumers. Once I understand the consumer's needs, then I will be able to seek them out and try to persuade them to buy my car because it has all the features they are looking for. Habit number 6. Synergize. What is a synergy? Simply put, it is all the wonderful things we can do in collaboration with a group or a team that we cannot do individually. For example, a man or a woman alone can survive about 100 years maximum, but together they can create a civilization that survives millions of years. Now let's take as an example a tree with apples. 2 people individually can eat as long as the apples are at their height, but most of the apples are at the top of the tree. The only way to reach the apples higher up is with synergy. One of them helps the other one up by using their body as a ladder. And they will be able to get not only one apple, but many more. What this concept means is that 1 + 1 = 4 or 5 when you work as a team. However, working individually, 1 + 1 is only 2. Habit number 7. Sharpen the saw. Suppose you leave your house and your neighbor is cutting down a tree. He has been trying to cut it down for more than 5 hours without stopping. You approach him and ask him, "Why don't you take 5 minutes to sharpen the saw?" And your neighbor replies, "Can't you see that I'm busy? I don't have time for that." The same thing happens in our lives when we don't take the time to work on ourselves. This is when we should find 30 minutes a day to exercise, or the time to relax your mind by meditating and reading a good book. If we stop sharpening the saw, we will probably lose the strength to achieve our goals. The same thing would happen if you were a Formula 1 driver. You can drive it until your tires are completely worn out, but your car will break down in the middle of the race or due to lack of tire friction. You could spin out of a corner and cause an accident or even lose your life. But if we continually go to the pit stop to change the tires and fix mechanical failures, we will finish the race and you may even win it. And these are the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video and want to see more animated videos like this one. Thank you very much for watching this video. And remember, smart work is the key to success.